Finally, after 2 years, I have finally started on my Aussie quilt, and I think it's coming along quite nicely. Good morning, everybody. It's Stephen here for Bland Designs, and welcome to my weekly vlog number 201 for Monday, January the 18th, 2021. And it's day 313 of COVID. So, you will notice through this video today, there will be a little bit of a noise in the background. I have my 3D printer working. It's been working all through the night and all through yesterday, and it's still going to be working all through today and tonight too. But I'll come to that in a few minutes. But first of all, I want to show you what I've been working on, and I have it hanging up behind me. And this is my Aussie quilt, the one that I talked about last week, and you saw part of it last week. You saw the focal point and a couple of the little embroidered squares. Well, I've got all the embroidered squares done now, and I have them all attached to the focal piece, and you can see I've added a few borders. Now these borders are all from that fabric that I bought in Australia a couple of years ago, and it's probably difficult in the video to see, but these are flying geese that are down along the side. The white is not Australian fabric, it's fabric I bought here, but I needed something in there to, you know, relax the eye, because this is fairly busy, this quilt, and the fabrics that I picked up in Australia are very busy in their design as well. Now I'm not done this yet. I have some more things to put on it, but it's coming along very nicely, I think, and I'm really enjoying working on it. Now it is my own design. I'm making it up as I go along, so well, we'll see what happens next, so stay tuned. Okay, I'm also working on the Wild and Loud quilt. That's the one that was made up of the scraps that I got at Christmas time from the Guild, or the bag of garbage as I like to call it. I've already shown you the top of that quilt because that part is finished, and they call the top of a quilt that hasn't been quilted yet a flimsy, so you've seen the flimsy. And then I went looking in my stash for what I was going to use for backing, and to be honest, I didn't want to put a really nice piece of fabric in one piece on the back of it and use it up on that quilt, because as far as I'm concerned, that quilt is a bit of a cast off. It's one that I may give away, I might donate to charity, something like that, once I get it quilted. And in fact, I'm not even going to worry too much about how good the quilting is on it. I'm going to use it more as a practice piece. So I thought, well, I've got lots of scraps still left. I used up all the scraps that I got at the Christmas party from the Guild, but I've got my own scraps as well. So I was going through them and found a whole bunch of batik 2.5-inch strips that I've had for a while. They're in pretty loud colors. That's probably why I haven't used them on anything so far, but I decided to make them into 8-inch squares. So I just sewed strips together and cut them down to 8-inch squares. Now I'm thinking I'm either going to do one of two things. I don't really care, like these are all different colors and everything, as you can see, so I really don't care how they go together on the back. It's going to be done in an improv manner. I may sew them this way, I may sew some this way, some this way. I may actually make them into half square triangles. So a half square triangle piece would look something like this. They'll all be different. Actually, I kind of like that. I think I am going to do that as a half square triangle kind of a thing. And I'll just go through these strips, and when I get enough of these, I've anticipated I need about 56 of these 8-inch squares. I'll sew them all together, and if I still need more fabric on the back, I'll find some more scraps to go around it, and that will be the backing of that quilt. And because I'm using pretty wild colors on the front of it, I figured wild colors on the back of it would be suitable. Actually, I'm kind of liking these when I look at them. You know, the back may become the front, and the front may become the back. It's a reversible quilt. It could be. It could be, very much. Don't know till I get it done. So those are two of the projects I'm working on. I also picked up an embroidery design of freestanding design because it was on sale. It's a lighthouse. Haven't started it yet. or anything, but I love those little houses and different things they do in the freestanding embroidery kind of a pattern. I'm really seriously thinking of buying, maybe once every month or something, one of the little Christmas houses that they have. Every year they put out new ones for it. It's a little Christmas village. I don't really need another village. I have one that permanently sits upstairs in my living room, and I have shown that on various episodes in the past. But it sits up there all year round, but they're all made of ceramic. They're not embroidered, and they're a great little dust catcher too. They get dusted once a year, you know, if it's then. When it looks like there's a snowstorm on them. That's why I tell people, yeah, it's a Christmas village. That's snow. Yeah. Snow that looks very much like dust. Then I go ahead and clean them. And it takes a while to do it too, because there's a lot of little pieces there. But I'm digressing, as I often do. So I don't know. I might look into that. So many projects to do. Keeps me off the street. But anyways, so that's what I've been working on as far as quilting is concerned. Now, I've been doing some more 3D stuff, and I'm going to come to that when I get to my segment on the 3D corner. But right now, I'm going to turn our attention to the YouTube channel of the week. This one's a little bit different. I stumbled upon this a week ago. It's called Lost in the Pond, and it's basically a British guy who now lives in the United States comparing various things about life in the States compared to similar things in Britain and how they differ. And it's really kind of interesting. Plus, he has a bit of a dry sense of humor when he's talking about these things too. So it's informative and it's entertaining. So here's my review. This week's YouTube channel is very educational and somewhat entertaining, and it's called Lost in the Pond. And the gentleman who puts this YouTube channel up basically compares British style of life or British mannerisms or anything else British with things in North America, specifically the United States. And he points out what these differences are, and he explains why those differences may be as they are, considering that the United States has its roots in British life. So if you want something that's both entertaining and informative, then check out Lost in the Pond. Okay, so you'll find the link for Lost in the Pond in the show notes below. There's also the link for Stephen and Walter Live, and there's a link for my latest Idiot Quilter episode, and for my latest review on a podcast this week as well. So that takes us to what's pissing me off this week. Well, our government, smoke and mirrors. We're in lockdown again, but we have been in lockdown for quite a while. Actually, since March, in various forms. But now they've put us into severe lockdown because here in Ontario, our cases have gone sky high. Okay, good, fine, I agree with them. I think it's a little too late for all of this. They should have had this down in place before Christmas, but they didn't. But the reason I'm calling it smoke and mirrors is because they put out a very detailed manifesto as to what this means. And what this means is that basically everything is shut down except for essential things. You can still go to the grocery store. You can still go to the pharmacy. You can still go to the dentist, the doctor, the hospital. You can still go and do curbside pickup from major stores. All of that's there. So there's a lot of loopholes, especially in the definition of what is essential. The liquor store is open. Okay, you can go there. And I'm not saying that that shouldn't be not considered essential, but you know what I mean. So why are they doing all of this? They're doing it to make it look like they're doing something, and they're doing absolutely nothing. They have done absolutely nothing since the beginning of the pandemic. But they make it sound like they're putting all these resources into everything. They're fighting this, and they're doing this all for our benefit. They don't have a clue what they're doing. That's the smoke and mirrors effect. And what really kills me is the fact that they think we're so stupid and we can't see through the smoke and mirrors. The only things the government is interested in doing is keeping the things that they are doing are things they're doing in order to keep their power for the next election. That's it. And that's the same at the federal level too. So this is what we're up against right now. Now, they've put these new restrictions in across the whole province and whatnot, supposedly, and if you get caught violating them, you will be charged, fined, thrown into prison, killed, I don't know what. But who's going to do that? Well, the police. Well, the police don't have enough people to patrol the whole province for all of the possibilities that can happen in terms of infractions. So, even the police are not clear on what their power is at this time or what they're supposed to do because the government has not clearly defined that for them. So, what's going to happen with all of this? Nothing. It's going to be the same as it always has been. We will still handle the lockdown in the way that we've been handling it since last March. How effective this is. So that's the smoke and mirrors. And you know, they make it every day. They show statistics. You can watch the news and you see all the statistics for our province. You know, how many more cases, new cases of COVID there are, how many deaths there have been, how many have been what they call resolved, which I'm still not really sure what resolved means because it doesn't mean cure, because we don't have a cure for it, but whatever. But they play with those statistics every day. So they use the numbers to either put fear into us to obey their rules or to make it look like they're doing a great job of protecting us. I've just stopped watching those because the numbers mean absolutely nothing. They're rolling out the vaccine now. Yeah, right. That's not been handled very efficiently. They hired a retired military general who has a specialization in logistics to roll this stuff out. No, he may know how to move guns and men. He doesn't have any clue how to roll out a vaccine. And the government just hired him to do this as a scapegoat because when things aren't going well, they'll blame him. When things are going good, they'll take the credit. So, you know, again, all part of the smoke and mirrors. We're being manipulated to think they're doing a wonderful job, and they're not. So that's the situation we're in right now here in my province. It's not looking good. It's very discouraging. I don't know. I don't have a solution for it either. But it just goes to show you that when we put our faith into the elected bodies that we've put into power, how they let us down every time. And I guess we've always known that, but this just shows it even more clearly. So enough said about that. Okay, so that takes us to new things that I've bought. And of course I bought fabric. Now I mentioned last week a new place that I have discovered that's in Regina, Saskatchewan, Canada, called Peachtree Quilts / Northgate Sewing Center. And they're great. And I talked a little bit more in detail about them on last week's Idiot Quilter. But I bought some more fabulous fabric. So I bought this, which is basically a big tree in here. It could be used as a panel, but just I love the colors in it. It's really nice. I bought these three fabrics that go together. I think this is called Fairy. Is this Fairy Dust? Yeah, this is Fairy Dust. I think they're by Robert Kaufman, or are they Michael Miller? Sorry, they're called Floral Rhapsody, and it's by Hoffman. Yeah, Hoffman Fabrics. So I really like these. They're very pretty. I'm going to show these and talk about these in a little bit more detail on this week's Idiot Quilter. Also got these two fabrics I think are fantastic. I think these are Michael Miller, and they're called, yeah, Fairy Frost. Fairy Frost. And then, of course, I bought some more of the Tim Holtz Abandon line, which I talked about last week, that I'm using in my mystery quilt as well. So, really nice. I got 2 meters of each of these, so I've got 16 meters of fabric here. I got a discount of 10% off that. I got free shipping, and there's a coupon for the discount. If you're interested, just go into the show notes for last week's Idiot Quilter, and you'll find it there. And it came really quick this time, even though it had to go through the black hole of Mississauga, which is a Canada Post distribution center. And yeah, I'm really pleased with this company, and I'm going to be buying more fabric from them as well. So I want to talk a little bit in just a second about my Little Elf cameras. Okay, I stopped for just a second before I went on to check to make sure this was recording, at least the audio, because this is my second time doing this segment on here today, because for some reason I'm having problems with my connection, I think, to my camera, whether it's recording or not, and I haven't figured out why. I thought I was not getting it in the hole properly. Like last week, you remember, I had to redo the whole darn thing. So I'm going to stop it periodically before I get too far in to make sure things are recording properly. So I just did, and it was. So let's carry on. Little Elf cameras. Okay, you know what? That's the little camera I bought that I can watch from the app on the phone, my 3D printer, when it's working, when I'm not in the same room with it. That's great. I bought 2 more of them. I love those cameras. I think they're great. But there's a problem with the SD micro card slot. Basically, it doesn't work properly. Okay, long story short. I wrote to the company. I even sent them a little video showing them exactly what the problem was and to see what kind of answer I'd get from that. They sent me back an answer I didn't expect. They said they were sorry about that. Their engineers were working on the problem. Big deal. And they wanted to give me a partial refund for the cameras back. But there was a stipulation. I had put up a second review about their products on Amazon, and I had stated about this problem I was having with the SD microcard in there, and I only gave them a 3-star review. I didn't say anything nasty about the company, and I did say some positive things about what I liked about this device, but I did bring up this whole business about the SD microcard, and you know, gave them 3 stars. They don't like 3 stars. They want 5 stars. If I took down that review, they would partially refund me my purchase price on the cameras. Now, I didn't know if that meant on the first camera I bought or on the 2-pack or on all 3. I'd already gotten money back, which was a special they were running at the time, on the first camera. In fact, the first camera cost me nothing with the rebate they gave me. So I thought about it. Now, I thought, you know, really, what they're doing is they're padding their reviews then. They don't want any bad reviews. Well, that's not right. The reviews should be independent of the company, and, you know, people should have the right to state what they like and what they don't like about the product. So by taking that down, I'm being basically bribed, right? I took the bribe. I'm sorry, I have no integrity. I did. I took the bribe, okay? Now, I figured they'd give me back maybe at the most 50% of what I paid for either the 1 camera or the 2-pack. No, they gave me back all my money on the 2-pack. So essentially, I have 3 of these cameras that cost me nothing. Now, the thing is, just to make myself feel better, is I can still, and I told them this, and they didn't seem to have a problem with that, or didn't realize what I meant, that I review products here on my YouTube channel. And I reviewed the Little Elf, and I'm telling you right now, there's a problem with the SD memory card slot. So, you know, great camera in terms of its video quality. Bad if you want to record things to an SD microcard. Not going to work for you. Okay? So there you go. So that makes me feel better that I've done that, and I've taken the money and run. So that was interesting with what they did. The other thing is we bought a new wine fridge. We've had a wine fridge since we got married because it was a gift. The first one was a gift by the people that Walter worked with, and they gave us a really nice wine fridge and a case of really nice wine, and we had that for about 9 years before it gave up the ghost. Well, we liked having one so much we bought another one to replace it and had that for about 6 years. That one just died. So we looked online. Walter found that Crappy Tire, which is known here in Canada as Crappy Tire, but it's really called Canadian Tire. They had curbside pickup, all the things. This is all part of the lockdown, of course. We ordered it. It was on sale and picked it up the other day, and we have it installed upstairs, and it's working fine. It isn't quite as fancy as the one we replaced, but it does the purpose, and actually the other one had some features on it that we never ever used. It might have been one reason why some of those fancy features, I think, were really what caused the problem that we had with it. So, and to get one of those things fixed costs you just as much as a new one anyways. So, and right now, who are you going to get to come in and fix it? Nobody. They're electronic. So, they're throwaway parts. So, yeah, so we've got a new one. So that was the other new thing we bought this week. A day when you don't get something at curbside or you don't have it delivered to your door from Amazon or Canada Post is just a day without sunshine. I've become this online shopper like you wouldn't believe. It just feels like a day that's not complete if something doesn't come to my door. So that takes us to a little review of a podcast that I watch on a regular basis, and it's called No Such Thing as a Fish. Now, some time ago I reviewed a YouTube channel called QI, which is a British game show, sort of a game show. It has comedians on it, but they talk about facts around a certain theme every week. And you learn a lot, but it's also funny. There's humor infused with this as well. And it's really good. Well, there is a spin-off podcast that comes out, I think, every week, and it's called No Such Thing as a Fish. And I have the link to the website that'll take you to the podcast and tell you more about it in the show notes. But if you do a search on iTunes, if you listen to podcasts through iTunes, just put in No Such Thing as a Fish and you'll find it. And it's great. It's entertaining. I love listening to it while I'm sewing. I learned something, and it's a great laugh as well. Really good. So I highly recommend it for something that, something that does two things: entertains and keeps you amused and teaches you. Okay? 3 things. Yeah, okay, whatever. All right, so I'm just going to stop for a second to check to make sure that my audio is working all right, and I'll be right back. Okay, everything's okay. So that takes us to the 3D corner. Now, as usual, I've been making things, and a lot of things I make are experiments to see what I can do and what I can't do with this printer. So, and I love making boxes. Don't ask me why. Got this, well, it's not that expensive, but this new toy, and I make boxes. Well, I made more boxes. Boxes to hold desk things, my pens, my paper, and everything. This is for my sewing room. Basically, I took a design that was already on Thingiverse. This is where I get a lot of the stuff. And I altered the dimensions and created these 3 little boxes, glued them all together, and now I have this lovely pen stand with some papers. I did blow the measurements on this part. It was supposed to be big enough to hold one of those 4x6 line sticky note pads, because I use those a lot. Yeah, it was slightly too small, so I made my own paper. I've got tons of this paper. I ripped it all off from the school when I retired, 9 years ago. Might as well use it. So I print out my own note paper, and that's great. It works fine. But my big project right now is doing a figurine of Shakespeare. I have an English degree. I was an English teacher. I love Shakespeare. So I saw this figurine. I want to print it out. But there were several problems with printing it out. One, how long it was going to take. We're not talking just a couple of hours. We're talking, well, it's working on it right now. You can hear it in the background. I started this yesterday at about 9 o'clock in the morning. It has been printing all day yesterday, all through the night, and it's still printing, and it's going to probably print all through today and all through tonight as well, because according to my software, it said this was going to take well over 2 days and 19 hours or something like that to print. Yeah. The other problem with this was I had to have something called supports, which are little pieces of plastic it prints out along with the figurine that supports parts that may be at too sharp an angle. So basically the filament doesn't have anything to grab onto, or they just collapse. So you have to put those on, and I'm still learning about how those work and what the most efficient method is for adding those to something you're printing. And that adds to the time as well. But what's been very frustrating about this is my 3rd one. But this will be my 3rd one, and I hope that one will work out to completion. Because my first one, I decided not to put any supports into it, and it got this far, and it started to collapse. So I got his legs, nice shapely legs here on Shakespeare. And he has, it'll go up about, it's a fair size, about this high. He has a cape that he's wearing, and that's where it started to extrude the filament out here into space, and that's when you get something I like to call the afro effect, because it just looks like hair all over the place. It's just a big fuzzy ball of nothing that's there. So I had to stop the printer. Now that was going through the night at that point, and so the next morning I woke up and I had hairball. So I had to stop it. And you can't really restart it and put the supports in at that point. So that's garbage. Okay, I saved it to show you. So I put in supports, got it all going again, and it was printing this. This is the base. And although this doesn't look like this is much, and it's not, this still took a good 6-7 hours to print, or 8 hours, just for this much of it. Okay? They're not fast. So it's working along merrily on its way, and then Walter comes up from downstairs, and he'd been working on our Ring doorbell, which we were having major problems with. He hardwired it into our system, because you can't, and it has a battery, and it runs off battery or hardwired. At least we thought. But we discovered that no, the battery had been drained and it won't work even though it's hardwired in. And after contacting the company, I found out, yeah, this is something you have to do all the time. You have to dismount it and recharge the battery, and then you wire it back up. And that's a bit of a pain in the ass. Right now, my opinion of the Ring doorbell, if you want to recharge your battery all the time, then get one. If you don't, look for something else, because they have no solution to this problem except, well, yeah, take it off, bring it in the house, plug it in, and recharge the battery for 24 hours. Well, that's not really convenient. But anyways, he'd worked on it partway through the day, the other day, and he had to turn off the power, of course, to the doorbell, and fine, he had that marked on the buttons for the panel and everything, and no problem. Well, when he was finished all of that, and he was turning the power back on and doing everything like that, he came up from downstairs and he goes, "You're going to kill me." And I went, "What?" "I accidentally hit the switch that turned off the power to your 3D printer." Yeah, like, I'm glad I didn't have any sharp objects in my hand at the time, because there'd be a funeral, and it wouldn't be mine. So I went downstairs to look at it, and sure enough, the power was off. Now, I'm thinking, okay, with my embroidery machine, if the power goes off in the middle of a job on my embroidery machine, when I turn it back on, it will ask you if you want to resume the job you were doing, and it goes right back to the spot it left off on, and away you go. Great, fine. That's a safeguard feature in that. I wondered if this had the same thing. Turn it on, and it looked like it did, because the nozzle went over to the last place it was at and started to print again. But so I thought, oh, thank God I don't have to kill anybody. Went upstairs an hour later, checked on it. Yeah, no. For some reason, it was not where it was supposed to be. It was extruding filament. I was getting the big fuzzy ball again, so I don't know what happened. I wasn't happy. Walter was walking around on, little cat feet around me, because I could strike out at any moment here. But I was trying to put things into perspective. It's only plastic. It's not the end of the world. Breathe. Calm. Whatever. So yesterday, I decided to do some of my own experiments with the resuming of power and that. And yeah, I watched some videos about it. And yeah, it didn't seem to work on mine the way it was working on some of theirs. So yeah, I guess that's a feature that they need to put into these printers, especially when they're going to take this long to print. But I went in, I got it all set up, and started printing this again. I'm so determined I'm going to get this figurine. Will I ever make another one if this one works out? No. Will I try it a fourth time if this doesn't work? No. So we'll see how this goes, and hopefully we don't have a power failure. Now, I did buy something for future things. I bought a UPS. UPS stands for uninterrupted power supply. I've had them before for my computers. So I bought one for this printer. It comes on Wednesday. And my theory is, if you're doing a long print, or any print for that matter, that takes more than 15 minutes, which is like all of them, it would be good to have that in case we have a bump, and our power goes down for a few minutes and then comes back up. This would at least hopefully keep things running, and I won't have to worry. We'll see. That's my theory, and I'm sticking to it. But anyways, so, you know, live and learn on these kind of things. So I'm on pins and needles right now for the next day or two to see whether or not this thing is actually going to work. Everything's going well right now. Cross my fingers. And we'll see from there. I'll be sure to let you know what the results are next week. Okay, so that takes us to part 2 of my 3D printed album box, how I'm decorating it and putting it together, and you can watch that right here, right now. So I have finished paint pouring on the lid of this Altoid box, this altered Altoid box, and it is all nice and dry now. And now I'm going to decorate it. So I'm just going to remove the base out of the way for a second. And these are the elements that I'm thinking of using. I'm making it sort of steampunkish. Now, I'm not so sure about the colors on here, because some of these I printed in sort of a green, thinking it might come out like a patina, you know, like what copper goes to when it hits the elements. So I'm not really sure if I want to use those on here or not. But I just want to make an arrangement all over with these gears. And I can alter the color of the gears by adding, just going over them with maybe a little stays-on ink. But I'm just seeing now what the arrangement might look like. Maybe something like that. And these gears are all different thicknesses as well. And let's see, maybe one more somewhere, maybe over here. And of course, all of these elements were printed out with my 3D printer. Actually, I don't think I'm going to alter the color. I kind of like that shade of green that's in there. And then what I think I'm going to do is, I have these two large elements, this butterfly and this clock. And I'm thinking the butterfly might look really nice just put right there on top. Yeah, that's what I think I'm going to do. Oh, I've got some keys as well. So I may intersperse some of these keys in around, maybe actually use them more as a frame kind of thing. This, of course, is not the permanent placement. I'm just getting an idea. Yeah, I think I'll do that with the keys. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue all these pieces down to the top of this, and I think I'm going to use my trusty Gorilla Glue for this. And I'll come back and show you the end result. So I've finished putting on all the embellishments on the lid, and they're all glued down now. This is starting to dry, so I'm not going to tip it up. But you can also see, I hope in the video, that I add a little sparkle to this by taking some stickles in copper and in silver and just putting little dabs of it in some of the holes of the sprockets and on the butterfly itself as well. I also took some black ink, and I did gunge up the pieces a little bit with some Memento black ink, and I did the same thing to the edges of the can, both the top and the bottom. This orange color I kind of grunged up a little bit, and so once that dries, then the next stage of this is to build the steampunk album that's going to go inside this box. Okay, so there'll be another installment of that next week. All right, so that's in the past week. Update on my mother. Well, I don't know. I didn't talk to her last week. Okay, you might think this is kind of nasty of me, but what happened was I had scheduled a FaceTime call with her for last Tuesday at 11 o'clock in the morning. That's become more the routine now. I'd asked her if she liked the FaceTime better than the phone, and you know how she is with a phone. She never answers it. And she said she did. And I like it because I know I'm going to get a hold of her because somebody else is getting her set up for the FaceTime and everything. She just has to do nothing, which would suit my mother as well. So just about a couple of minutes before 11 o'clock, I get a text message from one of the staff at her nursing home telling me that my mother wasn't really feeling up to doing a FaceTime today. She was fine. She just wasn't feeling like it. And then she put, and she just wants you to know she loves you very much and misses you. I wrote back and says, okay, fine, no problem. I immediately went online, booked, because you go online to book your time for these FaceTime for this Tuesday coming. But I wasn't going to bother trying to call my mother because she won't pick up the phone most of the time. And I thought, fine, her choice. She decided she wasn't in the mood for the FaceTime. Now the last part, and your mother says she loves you very much and misses you, was not my mother saying that. That was added by the staff person. How do I know that? Because my mother has never said that to me. My mother is not a warm and fuzzy lady. That's why I'm not a very warm and fuzzy guy. Okay? I learned from the best. So I think that was just in there from the staff person to sweeten the pot a little bit in case she thought I'd be really terribly upset. I wasn't terribly upset. You know, okay, this sounds bad, but I call my mother all the time because, and I said this to my mother once, you know, if you don't answer your phone, I can't talk to you. And you know, you hear about all these people that have relatives in nursing homes and they only see them like once a year, call them every blue moon or something like that. I said, is that what you want? Because my sister and I are very faithful at staying in contact with my mother. If this was normal times and we could visit again, we'd be over there once a week to visit her. Okay? So, you know, her choice, her life, whatever she wants to do. But it does frustrate me a little bit. So we'll see if I have a FaceTime this week. Now this week, if I get a text message saying she doesn't feel like it again, then I will call her and I will call every day until I finally get her to pick up the phone. But, you know, what can you do? I try to do my best. So, anyways, that's my mother. I had a guild meeting, a virtual one, this past Monday. This is the general meeting, so it means I don't have to do anything because it's not an executive meeting. And as you know, I'm the secretary of the guild. So that's always, it was interesting. We had a really boring speaker. Oh, she went on for days. It was about the ergonomics of quilting, and she is a personal trainer and a quilter herself. She's got a book coming out with cute little illustrations, and she was showing us how to bend our arms and our... Okay, yeah, quilting can be tough on your body, especially because most quilters are older people anyway, so we already got some aches and pains, right? And these are stretches and things you can do to, you know, limber up and keep you limber while you're quilting. All right, fine, I get it. But she went on and on and on for almost 2 bloody hours. She was not stimulating. She was very full of herself as well. And trying to drum up business for her little business as well. So, yeah, there was literally... Now, they asked us to turn off. We're doing this on Zoom, right? And they asked us, for the sake of bandwidth, to turn off our webcams while the presentation was going, so we could only see her and the screen share she was doing. Fine and dandy. A few people didn't turn them off, and it was funny because a few of them were falling asleep, and you could see them. One of them looked like she was snoring through it, but we couldn't hear her because she had her microphone turned off for that. But yeah, and when we had a sew day on Saturday as well with the guild, and some of the people brought that up, you know, because it was kind of funny about people falling to sleep in it. But yeah, but anyways, it was still, you know, it was nice to see everybody, and it's nice to see what they're working on because we have a section we call Show and Share where people show their latest projects, and that's always kind of nice. Okay, so what else? Well, my next segment is Wally Cooks, and this week, it's not that exciting, as you're going to see. I'll insert it right here. And this week on Wally Cooks, what are you making tonight?
We're having frozen cheese sticks.
Ooh, from scratch?
No, from frozen.
That's what I said. Frozen cheese sticks from scratch. But we do have a steak over here in the sous vide. And these are mummified potatoes.
Yeah, they're going to be baked potatoes.
Baked potatoes. In the old-fashioned way, slow cooked in a microwave. And here are the lovely, light's too much in there, cheese sticks. And vegetable are frozen beans. So you can see that
it's like a gourmet dinner.
It's gourmet. This is ghetto cooking with Wally. He does do ghetto cooking as well. In fact, I'm trying to think, did you make anything at all exciting this week? No, because I cooked 2 nights in a row.
I made our famous tacos in a bowl.
Oh yes, tacos in a bowl, or lazy man tacos. Basically, it's a taco dip. I did make my famous burrito surprise, which is when you take all the leftovers in your fridge and put them together with a little salsa.
We had chicken legs.
Chicken what? Oh, chicken. Oh, the chicken legs with
spezzle.
With your turkey. Well, we didn't have the chicken legs with spezzle.
Yes, we did.
Did you serve that with spezzle?
Yes, I did.
Oh yeah, that's right. We did have spezzle. See how memorable it was for me? The chicken legs were delicious because they were done in your famous Turkish rub or whatever that is that you make, marinade, which is actually quite good. Like that a lot, really. I should have taken a video of that. I forgot. Well, so he cooked a little bit this week. I cooked a little bit this week. What did you make on Monday night?
We had leftover lasagna.
That's right. I heated
from homemade lasagna.
That's right. And I worked my fingers to the bone heating that up in the microwave. And, I made a Caesar salad too, which was out of a bottle. And then my burrito surprise, which was made with Indian food that I made. Oh, I made Indian food. What was that, Sunday?
Tuesday.
Was that, this was the leftover Indian food I put in the burrito surprise.
Yeah, well, you didn't make it Sunday.
No,
Sunday
I know.
We had pizza.
So it must have been Saturday or Friday. I don't know.
Well, maybe it was Saturday.
I think it was Saturday. That's right. We had pizza.
What did we have on Wednesday?
On Wednesday we had, I don't know. Well, that was when you made the chicken leg. No, that was Thursday. I don't remember what we had on Wednesday. I have no idea what that was. Oh my God. Well, check the fridge for leftovers. I don't know.
Oh, one day we had spaghetti and meatballs, remember?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Spaghetti and meatballs. Yeah, real exciting gourmet these days here. Well, it's always something new and exciting when Wally cooks. Okay, so that takes us to pretty much the end here. What's coming up? Nothing. I was a little antsy yesterday. I did some, after I got my 3D printer up and going again, I did some sewing for this. And then I just kind of died. My energy level went right down. And I just laid down on the couch and watched a documentary, The Octopus Teacher, that somebody had recommended to me. It's on Netflix. One of the regulars that comes on Stephen and Walter Live had said they had seen it and really enjoyed it. So I kind of watched it, and yeah, actually it's very good. It's very fascinating. The cinematography in it, it's all underwater, is really, really good. But there's this relationship between the guy who's the filmmaker and this small little octopus. And it is very touching. And at the end, it's very sad because, spoiler alert, the octopus dies. Apparently, they live for only 1 year. And at the end near the end of their life, they basically mate, produce hundreds of thousands of little octopi, which mostly get eaten. Only a handful survive. And then basically, the octopus dies, and a shark eats her. But it is worth watching. It really is. It gives you a whole different perspective about underwater life, and especially octopuses, because I don't know about you, but octopuses are kind of creepy. But when you see this, it makes you want to run out and get one as a pet. Well, not quite, but if you see it, you'll understand exactly what I'm talking about. So check it out. Anyways, yeah, nothing coming up this week that I can think of. So got lots of projects to work on. I'll work on those. I've got an Idiot Quilter episode to get out. I don't know if I'll do that today or I'll do that tomorrow. Probably tomorrow. And then we have Stephen and Walter live next Sunday. So yeah, that's it. That's all that's coming up. So I hope you have a good week, and I hope you're staying happy. I hope you're staying healthy. And yes, of course, we all have to stay in until we get this bloody vaccine and this thing under control. So have a good one, a good week. Thanks for joining me. Bye for now.